Outside the Box Reviews, we're taking a look at the X-Plus Toho 30cm figure line Diamond Reissue Anguirus 1968. And I reviewed a couple X-Plus figures before on this channel, but in case you're not familiar with them, they're less figures and more statues. They are vinyl statues, but they are very high-end pieces. They have a lot of great detail and great paint apps to them. They're basically like a Godzilla version of a Hot Toy, if Hot Toys were statues rather than posable figures. I'd started picking some up last year, and I've been trying to keep to a theme, the 1968 theme as it was with Destroy All Monsters. So I have several monsters that appear in that movie, though quite a few do, and some haven't even been made in this scale yet. But Anguirus is my absolute favorite kaiju, and even if I wasn't specifically collecting Destroy All Monsters figures, I would probably have picked this guy up anyway. This figure originally came out in 2009, and it's been re-released I think a couple times since, but for this latest re-release, Diamond has struck up a deal with X-Plus yet again to re-release some of these older kaiju figures in America. So this is kind of a brand new release, but really an old release at the same time. So let's not waste any more time, let's take a closer look. Now, one of the first things you're going to have to do when you get this figure, and I've already taken care of it, is to insert the tail. The tail comes as a separate piece in the box. You actually have to take, the best method seems to be a hairdryer, heat up this butthole section here on the figure, get it nice and squishy soft, and once it's nice and pliable, you can take the tail, pop it right in there. Mine went in without too much problems, but I have seen some people take some of these tails and put them in the freezer for a little bit to really harden up the vinyl here, super soften up the vinyl on the body, pop together real easy. The sculpt on this figure and the paint apps are phenomenal. I love the textured look they've given all the scales around his head, actually all over the body. There's a very rough, scaly look. It's kind of grayish, brownish flesh tone he's got going on here. See, the eyes are very nicely detailed, a kind of dark brown with the black pupil there. Now this eye looks like it has a little bit of something there, a little fleck there in the paint, or it might be a sticker, I'm not even really sure. It kind of looks like a sticker. It's not horrible, and Anguirus' other eye came out perfectly, so really pretty minor detail there. Inside of his mouth, we have all of his teeth individually sculpted. They're all separate pieces. They're a little bit rounded because, well, it is vinyl, including the fangs up here, which are nice and large, but it still looks great. There's some great paint detail inside the mouth. You even see there's texture there on the tongue, which is really amazing. For the horns on Anguirus' head, as well as all the spikes on him, we can see it fades from a darker brown up to this bonish yellow. We get that same effect going on here on the crown on his head. Really nice. Because it's vinyl, these are a little bit on the soft side, but I'd still be careful with them. You don't want to accidentally break them. Going down from the head, we have this big wrinkly neck here, which looks really good. There's kind of a bit of a seam here at the base of the neck, but it's not super noticeable because the sculpt already has these deep ridges in it. We see the underbelly continues that great sculpted scale detail, as do the arms. I love all the wrinkles and folds. These figures are designed to be suit accurate, not concept accurate, I guess you could say. So unlike a Monster Arts that's a little more stylized, this has all those awkward baggy parts on it that you would see in the real costume. We do have some spikes down here by the wrist. There's front legs, which have 4 claws on them. Continuing the dark brown paint apps going into the yellow. We do have a little bit of mispaint here, some little black chips there, but nothing horrible. The underside of the feet are detailed as well, really nicely actually. Hind legs have all these big deep wrinkles in them as well, bunching up like the suit would with the actor inside. He is, of course, crawling on his knees because, well, that's how the actor would have moved. And then we have his 4-clawed feet back here, and they're facing upwards as the actor crawls along. Across his back, Anguirus has his trademark bony shell. We have all the different spikes sticking out in a bunch of different directions. Looks very natural. Nothing looks very uniform at all. And there is some different texture kind of given to the shell piece to make it look like it's a different kind of bony structure underneath everything. Then we come back here for the tail. We can see there's some kind of plates here on the side, and then it goes into more of the spikes that you see on his back. It's a nice long tail there, ending with a big brown spike there at the end. There are a couple sections here in the tail that look like they are kind of seams in the vinyl, but overall I think it looks pretty nice. They're not super noticeable, and the quality is just really, really fantastic. On the underside of the tail, you can see is kind of some flattened out sections where it would be dragging. The sculpt gets a little different and a little bumpier texture, which is really nice. And then on the other side here, you can see this one foot's kind of posed up, like he's pushing himself off a little bit more, as opposed to the upright one on the other side. And the arm is basically the same on either side. And here's Anguirus next to the X-Plus version of the 1968 Godzilla suit. So not only did these guys appear next to each other in Destroy All Monsters, but they also showed up side by side fighting it out with Gigan and King Ghidorah in Godzilla vs. Gigan, which is one of the first Godzilla movies I ever owned. Probably the reason why I like Anguirus as much as I do. So for me, this is a perfect pair here. And next month's X-Plus release is Gigan, and while he didn't appear in Destroy All Monsters, and that's been my rule thus far, having these two and the possibility of getting that one, it kind of makes me want to do it. And as awkward as it is to cram these guys in the frame together, here's the X-Plus Anguirus next to the Revoltech version there on his left, and the Bandai Japanese vinyl figure. I'm not sure from what or what series or any real details about that guy. I just got him on eBay, so really don't know what I'm talking about with that figure, but the classic Bandai figure of Anguirus. And I like all three of these figures for different reasons, but this X-Plus one is definitely the most accurate. Just looks like it jumped right off the screen. I kind of like they gave him a pose similar to the classic Bandai toy, which, while you can't see it right here, has that similar raised up in front, feet behind him and back. And of course we could do that with the Revoltech figure because he has the articulation to do it. But he definitely dwarfs the previous counterparts of him I had. So if it wasn't for like two little pieces of paint I found on this figure that are not quite what they should be, I would say this thing's perfect. Obviously X-Plus is not going to appeal to everyone. There's no real articulation. Some people will play with the seams on it and kind of slightly pose it, but it's not meant to be moved really. Another thing I kind of encountered when I first picked up X-Plus was that they're very light pieces. They're hollow vinyl. So there's not a lot of weight to them, which sometimes kind of makes them feel like they're a lower quality than they are. You look at something that's a high-end collectible and you expect it to have some heft to it. And, well, these guys don't. But I'm ridiculously happy with this figure. I'm going to give it a strong recommendation if you're a big Godzilla nerd like me, especially if you're a big Anguirus fan and you want a cool collection centerpiece or something that's going to start a terrible, terrible addiction. This isn't a bad way to start it. And if you are looking to become a full-blown X-Plus addict, well, it's a good time to start. Anguirus is the first of a hopefully long line of figures getting re-released from Diamond. They did this about 2 years ago, 3 years ago they started it. I believe the last figures did come out the end of 2014. So 2015 was kind of a dry year for the X-Plus reissues, but we've got Anguirus this month. I think Gigan's actually gotten pushed back to March. I don't know if they've announced if that's going to affect the release dates for the rest of the line as of yet, but Gigan, Rodan, and then can't remember the exact order, but I know Baragon's coming out. And they're doing Space Godzilla. I think there's a Kiryu in there. A lot of cool X-Plus figures coming out, and I'm going to be picking up a good selection of them. So if you enjoyed this review, definitely stay tuned for more of them. And also in the meantime, follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, it's been another Outside the Box Reviews, Giant Monster Mania.